Thank you, Francis. I must apologize for that. Protesting students have now arrived at the Hillbrow police station just about 4 minutes ago. They've marched from Braamfontein, from the University of Johannesburg's Bunting Road campus. They're here now as several students have been arrested and others have been shot and wounded. At this particular stage, Francis, the student who was shot has been severely wounded. Students are saying at this stage that police are using live ammunition, and of course we'll have to indeed speak to police about the claims that are being made. The severely injured student has been taken to hospital. They managed to organize a passing combi to try and assist in getting the student to the hospital. So these protesting students are here now in solidarity with those who have been arrested. We don't have an official figure at this stage, Francis, in terms of how many people or how many students have been arrested. So a bit earlier on, the scenes that you saw in Braamfontein was where the protesting students had moved from the University of Johannesburg's Bunting Road campus. And as they marched from there to Braamfontein, that was slowly becoming towards the peak hour time. So police moved in, cannons. Water was dispersed from those water cannons, and rubber bullets, or what students say, this live ammunition. Students were shot at, and several of them have been arrested. Yeah. And as I've indicated, from what we can tally at this stage, one has been severely injured. So the visuals that you're seeing at the moment is right in front of the South African Police Service station in Hillbrow, and this is where students say they are here in solidarity. Recall the last time that some students had been arrested, the protesting students stayed late into the night and waited for the arrested students to be released. So at this particular point, I think they will dispatch one of the lawyers representing the students who have been arrested. And that has been the case that we've seen, Francis, since the start of this action.
Chriselda, before you saw that injured woman and you showed us those scenes, did you see shots fired? Did you hear shots fired? And I guess the question would be, did it sound like a lot of shots, a hail of bullets? We cannot verify if they would be rubber bullets or live. Hopefully not live, given what has preceded this. But did it sound like a lot of shots, or do you think this was possibly a one-off event today, given what else you've seen?
Francis, those were definitely quite a lot of shots. Police, once the protesting students had gone into the Braamfontein area, that is when police came through with a nyala. Several of them took up their guns, and that's when they started firing. Several shots were fired, quite a number of them, Francis. I did hear that, and hence you see some of them have been shot at, and that one has been taken to the hospital, as I had already indicated. And police at this particular stage, I'm not able to say, Francis. I don't think it would honestly be fair in this instance. We will honestly have to wait, and once doctors, I guess, have done their work in terms of examining that leg, it is quite a deep wound, and we did apologize a bit earlier on to the viewers for showing something so graphic, but it is quite a deep wound. But to confirm or say at this stage what exactly happened, is that live ammunition, I wouldn't be able to say at this stage, but certainly students are quite adamant that indeed that is the case.
Sure, and Chriselda, I mean, there's so much concern about claims of heavy-handedness on the part of the police, and we know that 4 officers are facing a murder charge, given what happened earlier when students were demonstrating. Can you give us a little bit of insight? Have you noticed the interactions between the police and the demonstrators? How hostile are they, or do you notice signs of police trying to show the maximum degree of restraint? Just tell us what you've noticed.
Francis, police have really come under intense, scrutiny and heavily criticized for the manner in which they have handled the protesting students. Even the Human Rights Commission, you'd recall, when they had visited the scene on one of the days when police had shot rubber bullets at the students, they had accused or also basically said from their preliminary investigation that the police were very heavy-handed towards the students, and that seems to have been the culture amongst the South African Police Service. But what I noticed since this morning, from when we were at the University of Johannesburg's Kingsway campus, was that they stood quite far. And they allowed students to continue protesting. No water cannons were used. But here towards the afternoon, and the scenes that you saw about an hour or an hour and a half ago, when I was in conversation with our sister program, SA Today, with Flo Ledwaba, was that when police started then dispensing that water from those water cannons, shooting those rubber bullets, and hence now you saw the scenes that we saw a bit earlier on, where students were arrested, as well as some of them have been injured as a result of that action by police a bit earlier on. And hence then this evening, these students are here in solidarity with those students who have been arrested. And this is what we generally see. We saw it during the course of the week when the first batch of students were arrested. They would come to the police station and, of course, try and get some legal assistance and hope that towards the end of the evening, the last time the students that were arrested were only released at about midnight. So in this instance, I guess students are going to be hoping that the very same thing is going to happen here. But it certainly seems that students are adamant that they will continue with their action. And I guess, again, police will then be criticized once again for their conduct, given the wounds that we saw on that student. Students are saying that police are using live ammunition. The police are obviously denying it on the other hand. And I guess those are questions that we would need to pose to the South African Police Service.
Chriselda, finally, just tell us about the numbers that you've seen, because a national shutdown was declared. Presumably, you need the majority of students on board, and they can't be sitting at home doing virtual learning either. We know that classes are going ahead. Would you say this you're seeing students come out en masse, or rather pockets of demonstrations in and around Johannesburg?
Well, Francis, let me bring that a bit into context. You would remember that since the beginning or the start of the 2021 academic year, lessons have had to be done online because we are still in the middle of a pandemic. The academic year for 2021 was never going to start with face-to-face classes, learning and teaching. So, for example, let me give you what's happening at the University of Johannesburg. There you have about plus minus 56,000 students who are at all the University of Johannesburg's campuses. So, from the 15th of February, the returning students began their online classes, and the first years had began their online classes last week. Now, this is at the University of Johannesburg. So that is what the issue is at this particular stage. In terms of the numbers that you're seeing, majority of the students are not on campus. Majority of the students are learning online, and that has been the case with majority of the universities. Hence, when you talk about the numbers that you're seeing, it's obviously because most of the students themselves are involved in online learning, and such is the same when it comes to teaching.
Yeah, and it's hard to gauge what the majority of students think. Are they on board with the protests, or would rather like to continue with the academic year? Thank you so much, Chriselda Lewis. She'll continue to monitor that situation now at the Hillbrow police station, where some of those arrested students are being held.